What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love. I'm in Toronto where you wanna
Welcome to episode 1230 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Season 4 of Yes, We Are Open, the award-winning podcast from Moneris. Electronic Products Recycling Association. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. The Moment Lab. Brand marketing and strategy, PR, advertising, and production. You need the Moment Lab. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of this community since 1921. I loved The Pursuit of Happiness's I'm an Adult Now from the moment I first heard it in the late 80s. I owned Love Junk on cassette and I adored the entire album. Mo Berg has been over and we did a great deep dive, but that was years ago. And I'm still kind of haunted by a bait and switch I would experience on 102.1 The Edge. Mo was decent enough to jump on a Zoom with me so I could scratch that itch. Here's that conversation. How are you doing? How are things?
Everything's okay. That would be a good way to put it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that they're not fantastic.
No. Okay is good. Okay is better than bad. That's for sure.
Better than bad, it's good. At some point, we got to get you back to the TMDS studio here to kick out the jams with me.
All right.
Is that a commitment? You're, this summer, the return of Mo, because it's been a while. You last visited in October 2018, and if listeners are looking for like a deep dive with Mo Berg, that episode is episode 384, and there's kind of an amazing ongoing history of Mo Berg and the Pursuit of Happiness. So people can find 90 minutes of us chatting in episode 384. So what brings us together today, Mo? I was on a bike ride, which I'm apt to do. I'm on a bike ride, and my mind started hearing the opening of I'm an Adult Now. So I'm going to ask you some questions, just a few questions about I'm an Adult Now, and play a short clips of the song, and just roll with me and give me what you can. But there's a 1986 version. So in 1986, that's the first time you record I'm an Adult Now, right?
That's right.
Where did you record that first version? Like, give me a little like bio on where and why and all that jazz for the original version of I'm an Adult Now.
Right. So when the band first started, we were looking for gigs on Queen Street and we needed some sort of demo tape. And so we had a friend, this guy named Scott DeSmith, and he was a friend of mine. Well, we knew him from back in Edmonton, and he'd moved to Toronto, and he had a little studio set up, like a 16-track Fostex kind of studio in his basement. And so we went in and recorded in his basement, and those are like electronic drums on there. And, we just kind of put it together there, and it was just like on a demo tape. So we recorded 4 songs probably over like a day or two. And then we used it as a demo. So many things happened after that in order for it to get to where it got to, but that was the origins of the song.
Okay, I'm going to play like the first 20 or so seconds of that original version. Okay, Mo, that's the first 20 seconds or so of the original recording of I'm an Adult Now. What can you share with me about how that opening came together? Like, get as deep in the weeds as you can, but like how did that 20 seconds come together?
Yeah, so I mean, I wrote this song when I still lived in Edmonton, and so it was uh and I guess I sort of figured out an arrangement, sort of, but even back then, and I used to play it just by myself. But back when I wrote that song, there was no cell phones or I didn't have any like recording equipment at home. So basically, you'd most of the song ideas I had, I would be walking around somewhere, I'd be somewhere, and something would come in my head. So you'd have to sit there and think about it and think about it and ruminate over it so that you didn't forget it. And then you get home and you play it on your guitar like 100 times so you didn't forget it. And that's kind of how you wrote songs back then. And now people say, "Oh, I used to, call into my answering machine and I would sing it into my answering machine." And then people got cell phones and they could sing it into their phone. But back then I didn't have any of that stuff. So and so then when we put the band together, it was just kind of that beat sort of came, and I don't know if I came up with it or if Dave Gilby, our drummer, came up with it, that sort of beat. And it just seemed like it was kind of it sort of established the sort of energy of the song, that drum beat. And so we did that. And then why we came in sort of on that anticipated beat, like we don't come right in on the beat, it's kind of a rush thing. Why we did that, I honestly can't remember, but it turned out to be a very effective thing because it's kind of a little bit unexpected. And I think that also created a bit of energy. So yeah, it was just kind of that natural jamming process when you have a song and you start working it out with your fellow musicians. It's sort of that's kind of how it turned out.
Okay, so did all four of those songs in that demo you referenced there, did all four of those songs make it to Love Junk?
No, only two did.
Okay, so I'm an Adult Now, obviously. What was the other song that made it?
I think She's So Young was one of the songs that we put on that. Yeah. And then there was two other songs. There was one called If You Feel That Way, which ended up on our Love Junk deluxe edition. And then another song called The Revolutionary, which I don't think we ever did anything with.
Okay, and again, for listeners, because this is like a mini episode, people are used to, when they tune into an episode of Toronto Mike, they're like, okay, this is going to be like 80, 90 minutes. But no, not this one. This is a shorter one on a very specific itch I need to scratch. My wife, who's from Edmonton, Mo, just passed me a coffee. What neighborhood are you from? No. Say it again? Oh, she's from Millwoods.
Oh, yeah, I know her. I know that.
Mo's from Edmonton, too. So.
I remember when Millwoods became a thing. It wasn't always there.
Oh, so it wasn't always there, Millwoods. It became a thing at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, she's looking like she doesn't know this. Okay, well, she's only 41 years old, so maybe she doesn't know pre-Millwoods, but okay. All right, that's enough. That's for Edmonton, Mike. That's enough Edmonton talk. Okay. All right, so I'm going to play the first 20 seconds of the Love Junk version of I'm an Adult Now. Okay, Mo, what are I can hear differences, but what are the primary differences between the original version of I'm an Adult Now and the Love Junk version of I'm an Adult Now?
Well, the first thing you can hear is the drums. So the drums, as I said, on the original version were electronic drums. And back then, electronic drums were terrible. They're pretty good now, but back then they were terrible. And so it was all when you listen to that snare drum, it sounds very unnatural. And also back then, which would have been the 80s, there was a sort of a sound in 80s music that you heard, which was like a sort of a gated reverb on the snare. Right. And so the snare, if you listen to music from the 80s, the snare always sounds absolutely crazy. And everybody sort of bought into this, and it kind of dates music a bit. I feel like I don't know what it does to our song, but you can definitely hear that. Also, so the drums sound 100 times better on the Todd Rundgren produced version. So, and that's no shade on Scott. It's just like we didn't have the ability to record live drums in his basement. So And then just the sort of fuller sounding guitars and bass and a better mix. I mean, Todd Rundgren is one of the greatest producers of all time, so I would have a certain expectation that his recording of it might be a little bit better than what we could do in the basement. I know.
You'd hope so, right, Mo? Like, come on, this is Todd Rundgren. Like, well, you know what I think of Love Junk. I told you when you visited, loved it and still love it actually. And I just will tease that if people haven't heard that original episode with Mo, just go back and hear like the story of how you ended up with Todd Rundgren, producing your debut album, Love Junk. It's a great story unto itself. And the other story I love, just before I get to the crux of this chat, we're almost there, Mo, but I love this story. Maybe you can share it again. I know it's like greatest hits of Mo Berg, but the recording of the video for I'm an Adult Now and walking over to whatever 299 Queen Street and how it ends up in high rotation. If you don't mind, like I feel like you're a jukebox. I'm just going to press the button, but if you give us that and then I'll play the first 20 seconds of another song and then we'll get to the heart of this.
Yeah. So as I said, we recorded this 4-song demo in order to try and get some gigs and whatnot. And so I had a friend who was a film director who had worked at the National Film Board, which I don't even know even exists anymore. And so I'm assuming it does. And so we were friends, and we were, he was a fan of our band and whatnot. And so he said we should do a video, and videos were kind of in their infancy back then. It was this was like the mid 80s, 86, 87.
Right.
And so I said, sure, let's do this. And so he had a friend who had a camera and had some film stock, and we just kind of wandered around Toronto, and they just filmed me, so I walked, they filmed me from my apartment on, Bathurst and St. Clair. And then we went downtown to Yonge Street and just filmed me there. And then we had one sort of major shoot where we set up right in front of that corner where the Bamboo used to be, that sort of Queen and Soho or something like that. And we just got a bunch of our friends to just sort of walk through the shot as we pretended we were busking. And so we just kind of did that for an afternoon. When I think about video shoots that we did later, they were all like 16 hours long, but this was not. And so anyway, so we did the video, and they got Nelu edited it together. I believe he was the one who did the editing, and we just kind of had a video, and it was like cool. And we were really struggling as a band, trying to get gigs and, just trying to work things out for ourselves in Toronto. And then, but we had a friend who worked at Much Music, a woman named Joni Daniels, and she encouraged us to take the video and see if you could get some play on like City Limits, which was an alternative music show on Much Music when it started. And so I literally wandered in the front door and said, I've got a video. And I think maybe Joni had greased the wheels for us a little bit. So the woman took the video, and we figured, let's, hopefully this weekend on City Limits, because I think it was like Sunday night. It was,
right.
I said, maybe they'll throw the video on. And so we kind of sat there in anticipation thinking, and then all of a sudden the next day, this woman calls me and says, we're going to put it into rotation. And so it wasn't like heavy rotation, but we're going to play it. And so this is crazy. And like, so it was obviously very exciting for us. Like we went from having nothing going on, absolutely nothing, to our video possibly being played on Much Music. And so at that we had sort of set up a little tour for ourselves going out to Western Canada, because all of us had sort of these contacts in Western Canada because we all grew up there.
Right.
And we went and did this tour, and it was, the tour was just average, and we were driving all together with our gear in one van, and the shows were kind of not amazing shows. And every time we got somewhere, we'd go sit at the bar and ask them if they put on Much Music to see if we see the video. And all of a sudden we saw the video, and it was, thrilling, obviously. And then when I've been trying to get us a gig at the Rivoli. For people who from Toronto would know the Rivoli. It's a legendary music club / restaurant on Queen Street. And I've been begging the guy, please let us play there. And he really didn't want to do the show. And then he sort of said, well, if you can find another artist and do a double bill, then we'll do it. And so we went on this tour, and then when we got back, we were going to do the show on the Rivoli. So I, go to the show at the Rivoli, and it's lined up down Queen Street to get in. And so that video completely exploded our career, like completely.
Well, it worked for me. I was watching a lot of Much Music back then, and I loved the video. It was very, very Toronto, but which I loved. But I loved the video, and I loved the song. And again, that opening of the song always caught me. Like it just grabbed a hold of me, that the opening chords of that song. So I'm going to elaborate on that in a moment, but I just want to ask, so the MEC, the Mountain Equipment Co-op that went up at Queen and Spadina, that's the location of that parking lot you guys are playing in that video, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's yeah, I was pretty close to Spadina.
Okay.
There used the Bamboo used to be there, and used to be a clothing store called Fab, I think it was called. Was that right? It was kind of like a cool clothing store, and so that was the stuff that was around there. That, and then Lush came and put their store in there. That was much later, but
I'm advocating for like a plaque of some sorts there to commemorate the location where I'm an Adult Now was filmed, like some kind of Toronto heritage thing.
wow, yeah. I mean, uh, one of the things about the video that's been nice for me is that a lot of people associate me and our band with Toronto, and so that's and so that, and I think it's because we sort of like showcased a moment in time in Toronto in that video. So a lot of people look back fondly when Queen Street used to look like that and Yonge Street used to look like that, and it's kind of nostalgic for a lot of people. And because it's like I was asked to throw out the first pitch at a Blue Jays game, which was, you know, one of the biggest thrills of my life, and it was because it was Toronto night, and so they were looking for a musician that would, you know, people would think of when they think of Toronto. So again, that turned into a really nice thing for me, and so that's one of the things I'm grateful about that video for so many things. But one of the things is that, you know, is that it sort of gave us a sense of being ambassadors to Toronto, I guess.
Well, I'll bet there's still many Pursuit of Happiness fans who are surprised if they learn that, you know, Mo Berg's from Edmonton. Like, I think that's a mind blow for some people, because really, like, you've been here more than half your life, obviously, but you're Toronto. It's hard to believe you weren't always here.
Well, yeah, I have been here more than half my life, and I do consider Toronto my home now. So yeah, and I love Toronto. I'm a huge supporter of it as a city. I don't want to live anywhere else. So you know, so being associated with Toronto to me is it's an honor to, I love the city, and I really, you know, when I think about the way the city was then and how, you know, welcoming it was to me and how exciting it was to me when I first got to Toronto, it's still, you know, that still was one of the greatest times in my life.
Beautiful. Now, I was on this aforementioned bike ride, and I'm thinking about, I'm an adult now. Like, I'm singing it in my head, and I hear the chords and everything. But then I get this memory, and it was a recurring happening. Like, it wasn't just, it was a memory of something that would happen all the time when I would tune into 102.1. I'm just going to play the first 20 seconds of a song that is not by The Pursuit of Happiness. So let's listen to this for a moment. So that is The Offspring with their big hit, Gotta Get Away. Now, Mo, I would hear that. And again, just a quick compare. Bear with me here. So this is I'm an Adult Now from Love Junk. In just the opening few seconds. So I would often hear the opening of Gotta Get Away because it was in high rotation when it was a big hit in the mid-90s, I guess. And I would always think they were playing I'm an Adult Now. And then, of course, it was Gotta Get Away. So I'm just curious how you feel about that opening to The Offspring's Gotta Get Away.
This was a thing, actually. I was contacted by multiple people who said you should take legal action. And so, like, people in the industry, and said, I'll represent you if you want to take legal action against them. And I think that somebody had actually even reached out to the band and said, do you know that it sounds a lot like this song, I'm an Adult Now by The Pursuit of Happiness. And also what made it go even deeper is if you listen to the riff that they play, it actually sounds a lot like another song on that record called Hard to Laugh. And so it's almost like a combination of I'm an Adult Now and Hard to Laugh. If you combine those together, it would probably sound a little bit like Gotta Get Away.
Everyone who sees you thinks you should be smiling. That girl, she's so pretty. That girl, she's so beguiling. Everyone who sees you thinks you should be happy. Thinks you should cuckoo and start acting all sassy. But it's hard to laugh when you know that she's been cheated. Had her hands around and she's been giving it a beating. Well, it's hard to laugh when you know that she's been lying. But you've got to laugh to prevent yourself from crying.
Happy April, FOTMs. I want to introduce you to a brand new sponsor of the program. I'm very excited about this. They're called the Moment Lab. This is a company that can take your business to the next level. If you've been struggling to get your message out to the world, or if you're looking for a way to increase your brand's visibility and reach your target audience, the Moment Lab specializes in public relations and has a team of experienced professionals who know how to craft stories that resonate with your audience to generate positive media coverage. Whether you're launching a new product, building your reputation, or managing a crisis, they've got you covered. So if you want to give your business a boost, don't wait any longer. Contact my friends Matt and Jared at the Moment Lab today to learn how they can help you achieve your public relations goals. And I'd like to welcome back Moneris and their award-winning podcast, Yes, We Are Open, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. The 4th season starts today. Go to yesweareopenpodcast.com, subscribe, be inspired. I know I was. And Al, I'll see you at TMLX 12 on May 11th.
And so if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think it sounds enough like it to be actionable. I mean, you hear music and you get, the band claims they never heard the song, and maybe, I mean, it got played like crazy in Los Angeles, and maybe, they heard it kind of incidentally. They're driving in their car and listening to K-Rock and it came on, but there's all kinds of music out there that, you get inspired by, you listen to it, and there's, you sort of do your own version of it, I guess. And so I don't see anything really wrong with it. And I felt like we're going to get, ankle deep into this legal and, lawyers bills and stuff like that. And we're going to lose. And so it's just like, I don't want to punish them just because maybe they heard their song and it inspired, maybe they heard our song and it inspired them and they did something that is vaguely similar to it,
Well, it's very decent of you. Now, Smash sold a lot of copies. Like, that was a big selling album by The Offspring. And again, who am I? Just a fan. And I actually like The Offspring. I even like that album, Smash. Actually, it's an album I owned and I enjoyed. But that is too close for comfort, in my expert legal opinion, which is not worth much because I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't. The drum beat isn't even exactly the same drum beat, and it's like, are we gonna sort of like sue anybody who opens a song with drums? Like, right. I don't know. The whole suing thing, people like that whole blurred line things and stuff like that. I thought that whole thing was crazy. Whenever I hear about someone suing something because it sounds vaguely, I mean, people used to outright rip off songs all the time, it's part of the tradition of popular music,
No, absolutely. But again, later in the career of The Offspring, they released a song, Why Don't You Get a Job, which was basically the same melody as Oobla Dee, Oobla Da, Life Goes On. So they basically borrowed, if you will, from the two great bands, The Pursuit of Happiness and the Beatles.
Right. Well, there's a long tradition of that. I mean, all that Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones used to do is just take old songs and just put their own name on it, and off they went. Like they plundered traditional music for the greater part of their career, especially Led Zeppelin.
Well, I don't hate my parents. I don't get there's not many days that I do. Gotta get up and take on that world. When you're an adult, it's no cliche, it's the truth. 'Cause I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. I've got the problems of an adult on my head, on my shoulders. I'm an adult now. Why don't we look at young girls anymore? People will think I'm some kind of pervert. Adult sex, either boring or dirty. Young people, they can get away with murder. I don't write songs about girls anymore. I have to write songs about women. No more boy meets girl, boy loses girl. More like man tries to understand what the hell went wrong. 'Cause I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. I got the problems of an adult on my head, my libido. I'm an adult now. Whoa, I'm an adult now. Yeah, I'm an adult now. I can't take any more illicit drugs. I can't afford any artificial joy. I'd sure look like a fool, dead in a ditch somewhere with a mind full of chemicals like some cheese-eating high school boy. 'Cause I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. I've got the problems of an adult on my head, on my shoulders. I'm an adult now. Sometimes my head hurts and sometimes my stomach hurts, and I guess that it won't be long before I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of people whose necks and backs are aching, whose sight and hearing's fading, who just can't seem to get it up. Speaking of hearing, I can't take too much loud music. I mean, I like to play it, but I sure don't like the racket. Noise, but I can't hear anything, just guitars screaming, screaming, screaming. Some guy screaming in a leather jacket. Wow, I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. I've got the problems of an adult on my head, on my shoulders. I'm an adult now. Whoa, I'm an adult now. Yeah, I'm an adult now. I've got the problems of an adult on my head, my libido. I'm an adult now. Whoa, I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. Whoa, I'm an adult now.
I love this. Can you give us an update? Like, what is the current status of the Pursuit of Happiness? Like, will you do any shows this summer? Give us a little Pursuit of Happiness update.
Well, the Pursuit of Happiness is still a going concern. We did a run of shows just before Christmas, and so there's it's you have to be judicious about it. And so we're we put together like a Shopify store. We got our Spotify account together, and we're working on maybe doing a little bit of recording. And so that's kind of our focus right now. We're thinking about doing some recording and then sort of looking at what that might bring us. If something comes up in the summer, it looks like a good idea, we'll do it. But everything has to be a good idea before we do it. We're not just out there just flailing around.
And you're busy with production work and working with other bands, other artists.
Yes. So right now I'm just finishing the mix on a record by a guy named James Clark. He has a group called the James Clark Institute, and I've worked with him before, and the record is sounding amazing. And I'm just about to start work on a group with a group called the Conscious Pilot, who were a big Toronto band in the late 80s, early 90s, and they've just decided to reunite. And so I'm going to start recording that in about a few weeks.
Okay, that's amazing. This was amazing. So thanks so much for doing this. It's like, again, I'm tickled pink that, you know, a rock star like Mo Berg will jump on a Zoom, just because I would hear this opening to an Offspring song, and every single time I felt like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. I thought I was going to hear I'm an adult now, and my brain always anticipates, so it starts to kind of hear your voice, and it's like I start to sing it, and then of course I realize, oh, this is the Offspring, and I'm like, I just want to chat with the songwriter and singer about this and what he thinks. So I appreciate this.
Oh no, it's my pleasure anytime, Mike.
And that brings us to the end of our 1230th show. You can follow me. I'm at Toronto Mike. Mo is at Mo TPOH. Our friends at Great Lakes Brewery are at Great Lakes Beer. I'll be there Thursday night recording with the AM 640 crew. Palma Pasta is at Palma Pasta. Monaris is at Monaris. Season 4 of Yes We Are Open is here now. Recycle My Electronics are at EPRA_Canada. The Moment Lab is at The Moment Lab. Welcome to the family. And Ridley Funeral Home. They're at Ridley FH. See you all later this week when my special guest is Ed Keenan from the Toronto Star.
Check ass, just come in. Ah, where you been? Because everything is coming up rosy and green. Yeah, the wind is cold, but the smell of snow warms me today. And your smile is fine, and it's just like mine, and it won't go away. 'Cause everything is rosy and green. Well, you've been under my skin for more than 8 years. It's been 8 years of laughter and 8 years of tears. And I don't know what the future can hold or will do for me and you. But I'm a much better man for having known you. Oh, you know that's true, because everything is coming up rosy and green. Yeah, the wind is cold, but the smell of snow warms me today. And your smile is fine, and it's just like mine, and it won't go away. 'Cause everything is rosy and green. Well, I've been told that there's a sucker born every day. But I wonder who. Yeah, I wonder who. Maybe the one who doesn't realize there's 1,000 shades of gray. 'Cause I know that's true, yes I do. I know it's true, yeah. I know it's true. How about you? While they're picking up trash and they're putting down roads. And they're brokering stocks, the class struggle explodes. And I'll play this guitar just the best that I can. Well, maybe I'm not, and maybe I am. Ah, who gives a damn? Because everything is coming up rosy and green. Yeah, the wind is cold, but the smell of snow warms me today. And your smile is fine, and it's just like mine, and it won't go away. 'Cause everything is rosy and green. Well, I've kissed you in France, and I've kissed you in Spain. And I've kissed you in places I better not name. And I've seen the sun go down on Sacré-Cœur.